Hey everyone, welcome back to another Beans, Bags, and Handicrafts Co's tutorial. Today I am excited to introduce you to the new Oro Rosa bag, which is the Estrella bag. It is so cute. So this is actually the bag I made as the test. This is not the bag we are making today. We're doing similar in the mustard croc faux leather. This is, I got this from My Punk Broderie. Anyways, this is the brand new Oro Rosa bag. It's a little different than her other styles, but it's just, it's so nice. And what's amazing about this is the only hardware you need, and it's completely optional, are the rivets and the bag tag. No other hardware is needed for this, and it has very minimal interfacing as well. So this is a really fun, quick sew that is not hardware heavy, definitely not interfacing heavy, and we will get to that as we go through the what we need to make this bag. So let me show you a few things about this bag. Again, it's very, the shape of it is just amazing. I just love it. And on the inside, I got it all stuffed with stuff right now. It's a magnetic closure, and it has a slip pocket here for cell phones or whatever. That is it. That is it. This is just, I'm just so excited to be part of the test of this and to be able to do the video launch for this as well. So yeah, everybody, I hope that you like this tutorial, and I'll see you on the other side. All right, so let's get started with the pieces you are going to need to cut out for this pattern. Again, minimal pieces. This bag is, for being such an elegant looking bag, it is a super quick bag to cut out and sew. Yeah, so when you just want a day of a quick sew, this is the one to do it. This would be perfect for craft markets and everything as well. All right, so what you're gonna need is 2 main lining panels. I have this backed with a SF101. I have it in black, so you can't really see it. So yeah, just woven interfacing on the main lining panels. 2 slip pocket pieces, again backed with SF101 interfacing. And that's it for the lining. The exterior, you're going to need 2 main panels, 2 sets mirrored to each other of lower side panel, 2 sets of mirrored to each other of the upper side panel, so 4 pieces there. Material for your strap, and then this is the part that is amazing. For your external interfacing, this is all you need. This is such a perfect scrap busting, especially when you have all those little pieces of Decovil Heavy, or Decovil Lite. This is Decovil Lite. I have a scrap bag full, and I was able to cut these out of this. So yeah, you're gonna need 2 of these, which are for your upper stabilizer. You're gonna need 2 of these mirrored to each other, that of your lower stabilizer. All of these are mirrored to each other. And then 2 of these of your main panel stabilizer. These are all Decovil Lite. Guys, that's all you need for interfacing, is a little bit of woven interfacing and these small pieces of Decovil Lite. This helps give the bag its slouch that it wants. I'm using a little bit of a stiffer vinyl with the croc vinyl, so it doesn't necessarily slouch in as far, but it's still amazing. This bag can be made in woven, it can be made in leather, it can be made in vinyl, it can be made in cork. You'll have to check out everything she has on her page from all the testers. There's just so much inspiration there. If you look down in the description, there is also a link to where you can go and purchase this pattern. If you click on that, it is an affiliated link, but I 100% stand behind Oro Rosa patterns. They are, she's just so incredibly talented, Alexis. It's amazing. So that's really all you need to do, all you need to cut. So I am actually going to go ahead first, and I am going to prep The only thing I have to prep ahead of time is my strap, and the strap goes together just like any other strap. Put a line down the middle, fold it into the middle like this, and then fold it again, and then an 1/8 of an inch seam allowance down each side. If you need to see how I make straps, I'm going to put a link down in the description below for my Bag Makers from one of my Bag Makers 101 playlists classes on how to make straps. Do not put strap ends on these straps because they are going to be part of the bag. Again, this, all you need for hardware for this is rivets, and you don't even have to use that if you don't want to. I just like the little extra bling. So I'm going to go ahead. I am going to get my machine all prepped and oiled, and I'm going to do the strap, and then we'll come back and I'll show you how we are going to put together the front and the back main panels. That's where we're going to start. See you in a little bit. Okay, so I've made my strap. I've put that aside. I like to get my straps over and done with in the very beginning. So usually I don't show you how I do the interfacing, but with this bag, because it's kind of special, oops, I'm going to show you how I do it. So I'm just going to bring it out like this. Okay, so you want your main panel and one of your main panel stabilizers. You want the narrower edge to be down towards your bottom of your workspace. Flip it over, and I am going to mark a 1/2 inch from that bottom part. Oops, if my pen will work. And just a rough 1/2 inch up, like so. This is because we want to keep that Decovil Lite out of our seam allowance, especially if you are using a domestic machine. So then what we're going to do with this, and you'll do the same with the other main panel, is you're going to take your Decovil Lite main stabilizer and you're going to put this and fuse this right there between those lines. Okay? I'll show you the other pieces. So you'll do that with both the main stabilizers. Now with your side, what are these ones called? Side panels? Anyways, the bottom side panels. We want to do the same thing. So with your stabilizer, the skinny side of the stabilizer is going to be along the bottom. But again, we want to keep that about a 1/2 inch out. It can go right to the end of this one. So I'm just kind of doing rough measurements so I can see where it's going to sit. So that's all about a 1/2 inch out there. And then you're going to take this and the small side there, you are going to match up with that line best you can. So, and you're going to fuse it like that. So it's about a 1/2 inch outside. So you'll do that with all 4 of these pieces. And then for our upper panel stabilizer, same idea. And it's going to go along this handle area here, I believe. Let me just double check. Yep. So this part here is actually going to be part of the handle. So I'm just going to mark 1/2 inch and a 1/2 inch from here, just to give me guidelines of where I am going to place it. And then I'm going to fuse this with the long side here facing to the bottom and the skinny going up towards the handle. And then I'm going to just fuse this right along those lines there for all 4 pieces. So go ahead, fuse all of your Decovil Lite. I just use my hand iron for these. You can use a press if you have one, but yeah, I'm just going to use my iron. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do that. You go ahead and do that too if you're following along, and then come back and we will move to the next step. All right, so I have all my Decovil Lite fused onto my external pieces. We're going to set that aside for now. I'm going to try to follow the pattern step by step. Usually I would do the exterior and then I would do the lining, but I want to follow the pattern as close as I possibly can. So put the exterior pieces aside, pull out your lining pieces, and we are going to start with the makers. I don't believe that I forgot to do this. I don't think it's going to make too big of a difference. I did do it properly on my tester bag. But on your Decovil Lite pieces, right along this dotted line, you want to take your pinking shears along there just slightly to soften, that'll help soften up the line of the bag. This bag is not going to have that because I did not do that on my pieces. So before you put your Decovil Lite on, make sure you take your pinking shears all along that dotted line of the Decovil Lite just to soften that edge. Sorry about that, guys. Yeah, okay, let me bring it down here. So the magnetic snap is optional. I like to have a magnetic snap in. So what you want to do is you want to mark the center. So you can see I did little snips here. All I did was fold the bag in half and mark my centers that way. You can use a pen as well. And we are going to install the magnetic snap 1.5 inches down. So from that top part right there, I am actually right at that center mark. I'm going to put a dot. Like so. And then you're going to take one of your washers. Can you see? Let me bring you in closer. And where the hole is on that washer, I am going to put that in the center like that. And I'm going to mark where the prongs of that magnetic snap are going to go. I am also going to have, and I always have scraps of Decovil Heavy here just for that reason. You could fuse it to the back. I just put it on. I don't fuse it. So you also want to take this and your X-Acto knife. Try not to cut yourself and cut the slots for the prongs. Take your X-Acto knife and cut the prongs where those prong lines are open like this. So I just kind of went in and cut along those lines. Take a little fray check if you're using cotton. And put it on where we just made those slits. Take 1/2 of your magnetic snap, push it through. Take your Decovil Heavy or Peltex, or you could use Decovil Lite as well. This is just to make it, give it a little more strength behind that magnetic snap, like that. Take your washer, put it on. I just use the edge of my table here to push. I push my prongs in, and then I just kind of, usually I use my hammer, but I don't know where it is. Hammer those down. And then take a little bit, I use Gorilla Tape, just to protect the fabric in between those prongs so those prongs don't break through the fabric like that. So that's 1/2 of our magnetic snap installed. Go ahead and do the exact same thing with the other half of the snap and the other lining panel, and then we will work on the slip pocket. All right, both of the snaps are installed. Now we are going to work on the slip pocket. So take your slip pocket piece, and what we want to do is, I just want to, from your top left and your top right corner, so this is the 9-inch side down here, which is the width, and 8 inches up. We want to make a 1-inch line from the left side, a 1-inch line from the right side, and measure 1 inch down, and then we want to do a 1-inch line. I need a bigger ruler. One-inch line down from the top. So this is very similar to how we make a zipper pocket, but we're not putting a zipper in. And then a 1/2 inch down from that line. Like so. And then what I like to do is do another line 1/4 of an inch up, 2 1/2-inch lines in. Let me make sure that I'm doing it the same as what she does it. And another 1/2-inch line on this side. And if I've done that right. and then 2 V's like this. So this is giving us our sewing box that we're going to go around, just like a zipper pocket, but without a zipper. So then what we want to do is we want to fold this in half, right sides or wrong sides together. Grab your ruler, and 1.5 inches from the bottom, and I have my center mark there. And then we're going to place this even and centered, like so. So the fabrics are right sides together and it's straight, and we're going to pin that in place. Just like that. Then we're going to take this to the machine, and around that original rectangle box here, so down this side all the way here, up this side and up there. So that rectangle there, that's 1 inch away from each thing, you're going to go ahead and sew, and then we'll come back and I'll show you how we're going to cut that out. All right, so there we go. I've sewn around that box. I know it's hard to see because I'm using a similar color thread. So that's what we want. So now we want to cut the hole for that zipper. So what I do is just from where those 1/2 inch lines, you don't want to cut past these lines where the V's are. So what I usually do is just in the middle, I take my rotary cutter and I just cut down that center line that I drew. And then I take my scissors and I cut it the rest of the way. So when you get to that 1/2 inch line that we did, you want to cut up to the V as close as you can to the stitching without cutting the stitching, otherwise we'll have a hole there. So see, like that. Do that on the other side. So we got 2 sides with little V's there. That. And then what you want to do is you want to stuff the pocket in through that hole. Like this. Then you're going to take this to your iron. You're going to finger press the seam flat, just kind of roll it between your fingers like this. And you're going to press that, tucking that all into the middle like that. So after I've pressed it, I'm actually going to take this to my machine. This is all pressed there. And I am going to top stitch along this whole box with an 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. So once this is all pressed, you're going to top stitch all the way down here, here, across, and back up. So go ahead and do that, and then we'll come back. So that is done. I like to leave a little bit of it showing if you have a contrasting pocket piece, because it kind of gives this faux piping type look, but you can roll it a little further if you don't want that to show at all, or use the same fabric as the lining. So now to finish up that pocket, you're going to flip this over, you're going to take your other pocket panel piece and you're going to put them right sides together, and you're going to clip them together. Okay, we're going to end up sewing the left side across the top and down, leaving this bottom open for when we turn it later. What I like to do to make a nice finish, so when we go to seal up this pocket later on, we don't have to worry about folding under, is I do it with the stitching to hold it in place. So I just fold up about 1/2 inch or so. Okay, but we're not going to sew along this bottom line. What we're going to do is we're going to take this to the machine, this upside down like this. You're going to sew this way, across the top, and down the other side with about 1/2 of an inch seam allowance, leaving the bottom open. and then I'll show you what I do to complete this bottom part. All right, so you can see that pocket is done. So this part isn't in the pattern. Usually this is just left in the pattern. This is just left open, but you would have had to turn the sides under when we seal the bag up later on. So I just do this ahead of time, so I already have a nice crisp edge. So this part that we folded up, I'm gonna kind of take it like this, fold it up this way, and then go ahead and press along there. And then we have an open bottom with a nice edge to fold under. So I am going to go ahead and do that right now. There we go. All right, so guys, that's pretty much the lining of the bag. The reason it wasn't designed with the zipper pockets or more slip pockets is it would take away from the slouch of the bag. You could definitely put them in, but it'll be a more structured bag that way. This bag is just so perfect the way it is that I wouldn't add anything else to it. So now to complete our lining, we want to put our two lining panels right sides together. I clip those together. We are going to leave an opening in the bottom of the bag. Oops, what am I doing here? From about here to here, and that's for turning later on. So we want to clip everything together, like so. All the way up both sides of the bag. And what you're going to do is with a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance, you're going to sew starting up here all the way down, 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. But then when we get to here, you're going to back stitch, cut your thread, come to our next line here, 3/8 of an inch seam allowance, back stitch, and go all the way up the other side, leaving this bottom open for turning. So go ahead and do that, and then that is our lining finished, except for we are also going to use our pinking shears along this curve as well to make it softer. Okay, so I've gone around the whole curve of the side with my pinking shears. Again, our external pieces, these center parts should have been with pinking shears as well along the Decovil Lite, and I didn't do it. I forgot. Sorry about that. It's just going to be how my bag is. It'll be fine. It'll be fine, but it does end up softening the line on here. Anyways, I also went ahead and opened up my seams on the handle pieces, used some double-sided tape. You can also press that. Lining is complete. We can put that aside for now. So now the next thing you want to do is you want to grab your side pieces that match like this. So this is going to be what one panel of my bag looks like. So just to give you an idea. Of how it's going to be. Oh, that's the same side. So this is what we are going to build right now, which is going to make our main panel and our back panel of our bag. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take these two pieces and we're going to put them right sides together like this, matching that edge. Like so. So then when this opens up like this, you're going to press, once you've sewn this with, I'm going to double check, 3/8 of an inch seam allowance, yeah. So you're going to sew down this with a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. You're going to take some double-sided tape and open up the seam, and to hold it in place, you are going to do a 1/8 of an inch seam allowance down each side of that panel. So our seam on the back is sewn and it's open. We're going to do a 1 inch or 1/8 of an inch top stitch along both sides of the seam. You're going to do that with all 4 of these panels. So what I do is I put them all together now, and I will go and chain stitch them, and then I will also do the top stitches of these pieces all at the same time. So go ahead and do that, and then we will start attaching these to our center main panels. Okay, so this is what the side panels look like. They're all top stitched along both sides. The seam is open, which is exactly what we want. So our next step, I actually went and did the back panel already to show you what we're going to achieve. Now, once you have everything put together with the central panel, you're going to see, and that's why I did it ahead of time, it's kind of got this domed look. So when you go to top stitch it, just know you kind of have to accommodate and press it flat because it does have this rounded look to it. So take your middle piece and take your side piece, and it's going to look like they don't belong together because it's going to look like the curves don't match, but they will. That is what's giving it this kind of domed hobo shape like this. You can see how this kind of goes. You can see when I put my hand over it how it's kind of a dome. So what you want to do is, you can see how we have a little straight mark right there. That's going to line up with our bottom like this. And broken clip, clip it into place. And then I like to go and do the top as well. Clip it into place, right sides together, and you can kind of see how it doesn't look like it's going to go, but you're going to just line up those raw edges. And push them together, make them fit. So when you go to top stitch this, it is a convex curve, so you want to be very careful and go slowly so you don't get any nips or tucks in there. Okay, so you can already see how it's kind of pushing this up. So you're going to go along this, let me just double check, side panel with main panel. Yeah, 3/8. So good thing because I already did the other one. So you're going to sew along this with a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. It's going to kind of stand up like this. You may want to hold it like this while you're going through the machine. 3/8 of an inch. Open up the seams on the back like this and top stitch down both sides of that seam. Rinse and repeat with the other panel, and then come back and we'll put the 2 panels together. All right, believe it or not, we're almost done. We're almost to the hardest part of the bag, which is actually the handle, and it's really not that bad. So I've done the front. As you can see, it's kind of domed. I also went ahead and put on my nameplate there, about 4 inches up from the bottom. Could have done that before we attached this panel too. So now it's just like what we did with the lining. We are going to take our front and our back exteriors. Oops, I didn't mark my center for this one, so I will do that now. Okay. So you want to match our center notches on the bottoms. So this bag is so nice because it doesn't have a gusset and it doesn't have a bottom piece to worry about. And the domed shape of it, or the concave or convex or whatever the shape is, it just makes it a little bit roomy inside, which is awesome. Okay, so I'm marking the centers on the bottom first. One thing you have to make sure is that these seams are lining up so we get a nice fluid line going from front to back. Sometimes I succeed with this and sometimes I do not. So use lots of clips to keep them in place so they match up. A couple clips there to hold that, and then again on the other side. Oh my goodness, all these long threads. So again, match up these seams so they will create a nice and fluid line at those creases, at those seams where the color changes, and clip. So yeah, I always start with clipping those parts first, and then you can go all the way up to the handles here, or parts of the handle. Ouch. And clipping it all the way around, evenly distributing that fabric if need be. These match up pretty darn good. This pattern is brilliant, as is most of Alexis's patterns. Oro Rosa is definitely pretty awesome. And what I do is kind of push them inside each other like this. Don't have them like you could have this popped out, but put them inside each other, so it's kind of forming this cave on the inside, and it'll just make pinning and sewing a lot easier for you. I guess we should also match up these bottom seams just to make sure as well, where they meet up here. So we want it to be a nice fluid line. Same on this side. Okay, and I'm going to continue. You can see how it's kind of sitting up like this. That's because I've pushed this in, so our curve is going the same way this way. And when you take it to the machine, you'll be sewing it around like this. So I'm going to finish clipping up this side, and then I'm going to sew just like we did with the lining, 3/8 of an inch seam allowance all the way around this, and then trim the curves with the pinking shears. The only difference that we're doing that we didn't do in the lining is the lining, we left this bottom part open. We're going to stitch all the way around. So we'll do that, and then we're going to put the lining, well, we'll be working on the handles and putting the lining, the handle, and this all together. Okay, so it's all sewn around, and we've done our pinking shear cut just to soften those edges. So I'm not showing any of this at the machine this time because it's very simple sewing on the machine. There's nothing special about it, just straight straight sewing pretty much. And I want to be able to show you how the construction's going, and it's just easier to do it this way. Okay, so at this point you can turn your bag right side out. My croc vinyl is a very stiff vinyl. That's okay. Push out all your curves. So this bag is so easy to turn because of the minimal interfacing. It's not a workout at all when we actually put it all together. It's so easy. So you can kind of see, I mean, look at the bottom, how it is. So where we can see, oh, I'm so impressed with myself. Look how good our seams match up on both sides. And on the bottom. Woohoo! Got lucky. Simple pleasures in life. Okay, so if you haven't already, go make your handle, but I said I did that already, so we can move on to the next step. Let me just extend the handle. Okay, so what I'm going to do first off, and especially if you're on a domestic machine, you're going to want to do this, is make sure that these little, where the handles are going to be, you're going to want to open these up, because we're going to be sewing across here, and it's going to be very, very thick. So I just take some double-sided tape. You can use glue if your machine doesn't like tape, a little fabric glue. But I'm just going to do this to open up those seams to make it for easier top stitching in the end. We're so close to being done, guys. Like, so close, you have no idea. Okay, so I'm just going to open those up. I mean, when you sew, you can make sure that they're open when you clip it all together, but this just kind of gives a little more assurance that they are staying open. All right. So those are open. I'm just going to refer to this in case. Okay. So we want to take our handle. Oops. And we want to mark about 3 inches. We want to mark on each end, just with chalk, about 3 inches on each end of the handle, just as a guiding mark. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Now we're only going to sew the handle to one side for now. And we're going to attach the other one when we come to doing the top stitching. So it's going to seem a little confusing. So you want to center this best you can at that 3-inch mark. Like so, just on one end of the strap. You're leaving this one open. So I'm going to go to the machine and I am going to stitch in place that 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. So yes, I'm going to stitch it to the back from this line here, 3/8 of an inch, and I'm actually going to go in 1/8 of an inch as well, just to get a little extra stability in there for me. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, come back, and then we are going to attach the lining to the exterior. Okay, so we have it sewn on. I actually went with a 1/4 inch seam allowance because we're going to be doing a 3/8, and I just want to make sure that it's not going to show on the other side. So yes, we're going to have this hanging down like this. This side we are not attaching just yet. That will be coming up here shortly. So now what we want to do is you want to take your lining, where is my, okay. My table gets messier and messier as the day goes on here. Okay, so you want to be mindful of where you want your slip pocket to be. I like mine to be at the back of the bag. So make sure that's at the back. We're going to take our exterior and our lining, put our exterior into the lining, right sides together. And we're going to start clipping all along the top. We're going to make sure did I do that right? Yes, I did. You want to make sure that this is tucked down in here, the strap, and match up these sides first. So the strap is going to be hanging out through the top like this, and that's what we want. Or is it? The handle, approximately 3 inches. Yes, it is. Okay. My son is right here. I am, oh, go ahead. He's got to get his laundry. So this is Riley, everybody. Say hi, Riley. Riley, say hi. All right. So We want to continue all the way around. Actually match up this side as well. Now the difference with this is when we sew this side here, we are not going to sew this shut. We got to leave this one open because we are going to be inserting the other side of the handle through that. But everywhere else, we're going to do it. So mark your centers here on the front and clip together. Go all the way up, matching those raw edges. This. Make sure your seams are open here and here for sure. Said I taped them, so they should be good. Okay, down the other side here. Match up my middle. And up the sides. So that side's done. Go up this other side. You want to make sure there's no nips and tucks where it extends out here, because the lining is going to show as part of the handle here. You want it to be nice and smooth. Okay, and then down this side. So close to being done. Keep sticking to my double-sided tape. Okay, so as I said, the side that we don't have the handle sticking out of, we're going to leave unsewn. So you're going to start at that side, leaving the top unsewn, but starting here, going down 3/8 of an inch seam allowance, all the way down and around, up this side, across here, down and around the other side to here. Again, leaving this open because that's where we're going to be sticking the handle in. So the way I'm going to be sewing this on the machine is I'm going to lay it down like this, and I'm going to sew from the inside like this all the way around. That's just the easiest it is for me because I do not have a cylinder arm or a free arm, so that's how I prefer to do it. So go ahead and do that. We'll come back and we're so close to being done. So close. Okay, so I've sewn all the way around. We have left this end open here. This is where we're going to end up sticking the other end of the strap. Gone around with my pinking shears and trimmed it down to about 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. Now we're going to turn the bag. So reach in through the bottom. So easy to turn because there's like no interfacing in this bag. The only part you don't want to turn is the little tunnel of fabric where we left that end open for that other strap. Okay, so the end that has the strap connected, just pull it like this. To pop it all the way out. And this is where it's going to be a little bit thick, is sewing right along this top part here for that seam allowance. So you want to make sure it's out as far as it'll go. You can reach in with a pen or a poker or something to push out those corners. To get them nice and crisp. Come on. Oh, we're almost there. She's all bunched in there pretty good this time. There we go. Oh, see? And it pops out. So yes, it is pretty thick here. So you're probably going to need a hump jumper when we do across here, but you can see how that strap makes it all one continuous strap. Now we have to do the other strap. Just got to find where that opening is, which is on the inside here. And I have to remember how to do this. 1 second. Into the opposite end. Okay, that's right. So where that opposite end is that we left the opening, we're going to have to find it. So it's right here. There's a hole here. So we want to bring that strap around. We want to make sure it doesn't get twisted. I'm going to stick it up that opening into here. It's a little awkward to get out, especially, hopefully I didn't sew that too tight in there. I can feel it right there. And we got to pull it through like that. So again, we took the strap, we made sure it wasn't twisted, and the one part we haven't pulled out is the hole here to bring it up through here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a few clips in here because I want to make sure I didn't twist my handle. So if it were to all pop out, I'm just going to double check and I'm not twisted. Okay. So again, reach in through the inside of your bag. This is the hardest part of the whole bag. Make sure it's not twisted in there. Find that 3-inch mark that we marked on the handle, which is right there. And then we're just going to take this and we're going to sew across it with a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance, and then we can turn the rest of the bag through. So go ahead and do that and then we'll come back. Okay, so that is done. So we can finish turning it through the rest of the way. So this is where you just keep tugging on this handle again, just like we did the other side, to pull it out right side out. Give it a little tug. Oh, that one came out a lot easier. Again, go through and see how my corners aren't quite sharp there. So I'm just going to take something through the bottom, a chopstick. I'm just using a felt pen right now. Turn them out so they're about the same. Like I said, this is the hardest part, and it is going to be hard to top stitch this area because it is quite bulky. So just go slow, use your hump jumper if you have to. Okay, I think we're good there. And stuff the liner into the bag. Ow. Make sure your strap, see my strap is nice and straight. Woohoo. Okay. So now prepping for top stitching. So just like we top stitch everything, I like to go around, roll my seams down, and clip them. Finger press and clip. Finger press and clip all the way around. Just like this. So I'm going to finish clipping all the way around the exterior, and then we are going to top stitch with an 1/8 of an inch seam allowance all the way around here and up here, across the handle here. This is going to be very, very thick. If you're on a domestic machine, you may want to hand crank that if you can. If you can't get over this, just top stitch up the sides here, and then make sure that you do add the rivets to hold that in, but try to top stitch there if you can. All the way down the back, up this side here, and top stitch across there. Again, it is going to be very, very thick. And then once you have that, you're going to close up the bottom of the bag. Say we've top stitched all this, I'm going to be taking this to my machine. I'm going to be putting it, because I don't have a cylinder arm or a free arm, so I'm going to be putting it up against the bed of my machine like this and top stitching this way. You could always top stitch from the inside of the bag or turn the bag inside out to do that, depending which way you like to do it. And then you're going to close up the lining of the bag by pulling out your pocket that has the open, reaching in, grabbing the opening in the lining and pulling it through and sewing up that hole in the bottom of the bag, pushing it back through, sewing up the hole in the bottom of the pocket, putting it back through, and then your bag is done. I'm going to go ahead and do that, finish off this bag. I'm going to go and top stitch it. I'm going to close up the bottom of the bag and the pocket of the bag, and I'm also going to place my rivets along here, and that'll be the completion of the bag. So I'm going to go and do that, and then I'll show you the final result. All right, so I've done the rivets, I've sealed the bottom, I've done the top stitching, and oh my gosh, they are sisters. How perfect. Oh my gosh, and this croc vinyl is just so perfect for this. I did this, another tutorial of a different bag with these two crocs vinyls as well, and it's just wonderful for my punk broderie. So there you have it. That is the new Estrella bag by Oro Rosa Designs. Alexis has outdone herself again. I hope you all enjoyed this tutorial. I am very excited to be part of the new Oro Rosa YouTube team. There are 4 of us that I know of so far. So there's Lauren Mormino, which we all know and love. There's myself, there's Monica, and there is Chanova. So I hope I said their names right. So I am actually going to put down in the description links to their YouTube channels as well. They may be putting up tutorials on this on launch day as well. I am not sure, or in the near future. But I think it's great that there are so many different YouTubers with so many different teaching styles that we can share in this journey and even learn from each other. So yes, I'm going to put all of the other YouTube channels that can do the Oro Rosa tutorials down below for you, so you can check out their channels, subscribe to them as well, support us, help us get up there and get those views. If you did enjoy this, make sure you hit like on the video, and if you haven't already, please subscribe. If you have any questions, feel free to drop a comment down below, or you can email me, or you can message me on my Facebook page. All information is down below in the description. I hope you guys all love this, and I will catch you on the next one. Bye.